It's me. Hi. I'm gonna drink some whiskey.
Oh no.
Hello everybody, welcome. My name is Larissa Janacek. I am the Whiskey Guardian here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Whiskey Guardian just basically means that I love to drink and talk about whiskey. So we're gonna do just that today, okay? We're gonna be tasting today, so you should have some bourbon and rye in front of you and potentially something else super fun depending on where you are. But first and foremost, before we start, I'd like to talk a little bit about tasting. So we're gonna taste this 3 times before we kind of come to a full conclusion of flavor. The reason being, the first time that you're drinking this whiskey, you're gonna get that good old Kentucky hug, that nice heat coming down right in the chest, and that's gonna be the alcohol kind of dissipating, and that, you know, that first taste of the day tends to be a little bit more polarizing than the rest, right? Second time, we're gonna taste a little bit of the oak. You know, we got coconut, we've got vanilla, we've got oak obviously coming through. That is from the barrel aging of this whiskey. And then the third taste, you're going to taste the nuances of Angel's Envy, which we'll talk about. So have some fun with it. You can also kind of play around with it with some water. I'm a fancy bourbon nerd, so I have a water dropper, and I can simply just put a couple drops in there. And now we'll open up the alcohol oils and make it super fun and also very different from your neat pour. You can instantly smell the difference. If you are not a fancy bourbon nerd like me, it's okay, because if you have water, you can do it. All you need is a cup of water and a straw, and you can do the same exact thing I just did with a fancy water dropper. Yeah. Now, when you think of Angel's Envy, we're actually relatively new in the bourbon world, right? We just started in 2011. That's pretty much like the fetus end of the bourbon world, considering that most of these bourbons may have started before even Prohibition. The reason being is that Lincoln Henderson, who actually created Angel's Envy, started out in another bourbon company for about 30 years. He retired as a Bourbon Hall of Famer, actually, from that company. And him and his son just kind of were spitballing one night, and his son's like, "Dad, let's make our own bourbon." He's like, "That's a great idea, son." And now we have Angel's Envy. So first and foremost, there are so many bourbons in the market right now. How do we differentiate ourselves? That was the first question that Lincoln asked himself. And he realized that something that he'd been wanting to try with bourbon was secondary maturation or finishing, right? So he decided to finish Angel's Envy in port wine barrels. Port wine is a fortified wine from Portugal. Think cinnamon, a lot of cherry notes, and just those beautiful flavors. It's a dessert wine, so think also just maybe a little sweetness. Sweetness isn't a bad thing. With that in mind, Lincoln actually wanted to embrace progress while also revering tradition. He wanted, keep the tradition of bourbon alive while also just moving it into the future, right? So Angel's Envy was just that. We were the first on the market to create a bourbon that was finished. And it was definitely unheard of at the time. And 12 years later, we've really grown in this market to be that contender. And now you see other bourbons doing the same thing where they finish their product as well. Everything that we do is finished. Always finished, never done is what we say. So, but that being said, our proprietary flagship bourbon that we've got over here is 43% alcohol, about 86 proof, with the 72% mash. Oh wait, I'm wearing it! This is our mash bill on my t-shirt. 72% corn, 18% rye, 10% malted barley. That way I can never forget it because it's on my shirt. So yes, that is our mash bill, right? That corn is going to bring in a lot of rich sweetness, while that rye is going to then dry it out and give it a little spicy quality to it and really round out those flavors together. Your malted barley coming in at the end really just for some mouthfeel. So with this being a 86 proof product, it comes with a lot of nuances, right? You get a lot of cherry, a little bit of lemon, a little bit of cinnamon again from that port wine really coming through at the end. And I get a lot of toast on the nose as well. So super fun. This is a gateway bourbon in my opinion. If you're somebody who's just trying to get into bourbon and you really, really want to just try something out, this is the first one you should go for. I think it's just beautiful. It's soft, it's delicate. So it allows you to be more friendly with bourbon as you kind of get into it. It's also something for me that's, that first sip of the day. It's not gonna punch me in the face, but it's also just really beautiful and enjoyable. I can drink this all night. However, I obviously, enjoy it. Moving on to our rye, Wes Henderson, his son, actually created our rye. So this is a 95% rye and 5% malted barley mash bill. I don't have a t-shirt, I'm sorry, but I do have knowledge. We're also actually gonna up the proof this time, and we're gonna do it at 100 proof, but the coolest thing that we do, again, we finish everything that we do, is we finish this in Caribbean casks. So think molasses, think Christmassy flavors like cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, a lot of maple syrup. We've actually made maple syrup for pancakes with it before. Somebody's making bananas Foster with it, and that just makes me so happy. But the fun thing about this particular blend is that you get all those flavors, right? They're very sweet, and you're kind of a little off put by all that sweetness. But with that 95% rye, again, rye is going to bring a lot of dry, just peppery spice to that Caribbean cask to really mellow it out. So those flavors are working with each other, that dry rye with that sweet molasses, just to perfect marriage. And it doesn't stay on the palate either. Sometimes sweeter products can stay on your palate. This washes away, one with the proofing, and two also with that rye content. So you've got some really cool expressions here. These are our flagships. These are what we like to enjoy on the day-to-day. But we also get to do cool things on the side. So we've got, every year we release a cask strength. So this is our 2022 cask strength that I've got in my humble abode here. And we also finished that in port wine barrels, just like our flagship. But this one I think is sitting around 126 proof. So the proofing is definitely different there. And then we also have a single barrel program that I really enjoy as well, because you also take that proprietary bourbon and you're upping that proofing a little bit as well. So here we've got a pick that I picked up around here in North Carolina, and they're sitting at 110 proof. So it's super fun to see the difference of expressions here. Now we also do fun little one-offs. Last year we did a iced cider rye cask. We've done a Madeira cask. We've done Oloroso sherry cask, a Mezzanara cask, and you'll see more in the future here with our new master distiller. His name's Owen Wilson. He's the first since Lincoln's passing to be our master distiller, and we're super excited to have him. So we'll have some new innovations coming here soon, and I'm excited for those as well. All right, now we've talked about the expressions, we've talked about our mash bill, we've talked about the fun little experiments that we're doing. What we haven't talked about is why we're even called Angel's Envy in the first place. It's a very unique name. Well, the fun thing about it is that it has a little history to it. When you're aging your bourbon in the rick houses, what happens is a scientific process called evaporation. Ooh, fancy word. For water evaporates off into the air, and that's what we call the angel share, right? Because we're not getting that bourbon here on the ground. Unfortunately, that's going off to the angels. So what's left over is the envy of the angels. Ah, love it, don't you? We take the angel thing very seriously here. Now, with that being said, thank you so much for joining me today. Cheers and enjoy your whiskey. Heaven can wait. Drink responsibly.